Hi friends, welcome back to Nobody Knows Podcast, dedicated to the ones who are still trying to figure it all out in life. Hope everyone who's listening to this is doing well. If this is your first time listening, then hello, and thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Juliana, and I am a 29-year-old who has consistently felt lost in life and like I've always been behind as I navigated my 20s. I created Nobody Knows to share my experiences and some of my advice in hopes that we can relate to one another and to also normalize that we're all just doing our best to find our way. We also have guests on here from time to time to spice things up, offer a new perspective of figuring life out. If you have been loving this podcast, make sure you're following on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And lastly, I would love your feedback for Nobody Knows Podcast. And the best way to show that support is either through a 5-star review on either listening platform. So on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also rate it, I believe, on YouTube as well. Or you can write to me directly on Instagram at Nobody Knows Podcast or on TikTok at Nobody Knows Podcast followed by an underscore. And then there's something that's also super exciting. If you're not following me on socials, then you wouldn't have seen this yet. It will be listed in the overarching podcast description, but I will also post it in today's show notes too. We now have a website. We have a full official website. She's gorgeous. It's essentially like a landing page just for us to stay on top of new episodes, special guests, and exclusive updates. So please check it out and also make sure to sign up for the newsletter so that you are up to date. Today is another quintessential fall day. It's gross out, but the leaves are crisp and they're like rustling around outside. I went to yoga this morning and it was such a good class. It was a little bit slower, really like healing, a lot of just holding poses and breathing through it. It was really restorative and beautiful. And then you come outside after you sort of worked up a sweat and it's crisp and it's nice and fall out. And then I got myself a coffee and the coffee shop did not have ice because I have an iced coffee when it's December in Canada. So like I love iced coffee. I don't think that there is never not iced coffee season. It's like all year round for me. But I went to the coffee shop and they did not have ice. So I took it as a sign that it's a crisp fall day. Let me have just a warm latte. And it's pretty good too. So I am making the most of my current situation. We'll get into it more and more. Again, if you're also following me on socials, then you already sort of know what I've been going through the past few weeks, but I want to share about it here as well. And it ties into today's topic as well. So we'll get there. But I've just been trying to find a new routine because my past routine has been shaken up. So day by day, I'm trying to find things that keep me in motion, keep me going, keep me motivated, as well as enjoying the little things in life because it's fall. And fall is my favorite season. That's where we're at. Another thing, half the time I don't even wear makeup when I'm recording. Like I'm fairly confident, I would say in quotation marks, with my skin, but I am having a really bad breakout, dealing with a lot of shit going on with my skin. I've been stressed a lot the past few weeks, so I'm just coming on the other end of getting through my breakouts, and I didn't want to put makeup on today, so you might be able to see some gorgeous acne scars. But that also ties into another episode that I'm going to do shortly about my skin and my skin journey. I have been wanting to do this episode for however long, but there's so many details and so much history that I don't know how to structure it. Like I could do several episodes on it, but again, I don't know if that's something you are interested in. I need to know your feedback. I would love to know your feedback. If skin, dealing with acne when you're well into your 20s, how to deal with it, how to get to the root cause, what to do when you can't seem to get to the root cause and you're freaking out. All of those things I've experienced. I just had a meltdown, one of those moments where I was like, I am so exhausted of dealing with my skin and feeling really discouraged. And I think I said to her, I've probably dealt with this for over 10 years now, at least, but well into my 20s. And I feel like I'm sort of being gypped because this should happen in your ugly stages in the teen years, right? Like in high school, everyone's ugly, Everyone's going through that awkward puberty stage. They have braces. They're gawky. They're just awkward. We don't know who we are at that stage. Why could I not have just had acne then? And why couldn't I just have great skin now? It was a flip. I had great skin in high school. Just super frustrating. But These are the cards I've been dealt with. So if you are interested in hearing about my skin journey, I would love to share that with you. I have been thinking about it, but again, it's just so much detail, so I don't really know how to structure it. So if you have specific things you're wanting to know, let me know. I think we should kick things off with a journal prompt. Every episode we do something that brings us further together. Sometimes we review a Reddit submission from a complete stranger that they may be struggling through a life experience and you might be going through the same thing, so we can find some commonalities, some things that you might not know or might not have known to try. Other times we'll hear from listeners and their experiences. My DMs on socials are always open if you're ever wanting to be on the pod. You can also comment if you're listening on Spotify or on YouTube directly on this episode and share there as well if you're open to having other people read it potentially. And then other times we do internal reflection like I want us to do today, and we'll do a journal prompt. And given my current situation, again, we'll get into this in a few minutes, it's a season of change for me. And also with it being fall, like I said, I think there are many things that are just changing for everyone. Like the other day was a full moon, things are being disrupted, and I think this represents a renewal and a fresh start. So I think that this prompt is fitting. The prompt is, what aspects of your life have always stayed the same and why? And what can help you make a change and move forward? I love this prompt too because I was trying to think of it from my perspective. I am such a creature of habit. So I could list out a lot of things that have stayed the same, but I don't necessarily know if I want to change anything. And that is just me being maybe defensive or reluctant to change things because I'm such a control freak and I like to have things a certain way, and change is really scary for me. I'm a Taurus, I'm very stubborn. So I really struggled with this prompt, but I think it is good. And I've been thinking about it. It did not come to me immediately. I wasn't like, oh, I know exactly what to write for this journal prompt. I've been thinking about it for a few days and I still haven't come to a conclusive answer, but I do know that I do not love change. What about you though? I want to know what things you could change or what things you think should stay the same. Again, if you're listening on Spotify and YouTube, you can comment directly on this episode. If you're eager to share on Spotify, if you just scroll down, you can use this comment feature. It's going to be right underneath where it lists chapters. And then if you're on YouTube, you can also comment just underneath this video where it says the episode description. And comments will be right there as well. And then if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I still want you to contribute. Still feel like you can reach out. Just reach out to me on Instagram and we can chat there. Okay, let's get into today's topic. Today I want to chat with you about how to get out of a funk. As I alluded to this a little bit earlier in this episode, it has been yet another season of change for me. And if you're following me on socials, you'll know that Brennan and I have literally had some really challenging weeks the past couple of weeks. If you're not following us on socials, then I will get you up to speed. I got laid off at the beginning of October, and then Brennan's grandfather passed away, I think literally 2 days later. And so I'm not even sure how to explain the feelings I've been going through the past few weeks because I'm still in it. I'm still randomly going through these ups and downs of just processing it all. It's a mixture of everything too, which is why I feel like it's still hard to put it into words. But to summarize, I've just felt really overwhelmed to get my affairs in order, figure out my finances, my next move, what I want to do, what I'm going to do, as well as just processing being laid off and allow myself to feel those feelings. It's definitely a blow to the ego, especially from someone who is very type A and works really hard and maybe works a little bit too hard and has a bit too much of their identity in their job. It's definitely been interesting, to say the least. And then I also feel like I have this responsibility to support Brendan and his family during this loss because I've lost my grandparents, I've lost them all, and I've lost them at a very young age. So I know exactly what they're going through. But for Brendan, this is his first grandparent that he's lost. And that is something also to be celebrated, I think. He is going to be 35 next year. To just now be going through this experience, as awful as it is, that is really a great thing to look back on and cherish, that he had so much time with his grandfather, as well as he still has so much time with his other grandparents, right? I just look at that and I want him to celebrate that and acknowledge that while also being able to grieve and process the loss. But because it is his first one, I feel even more of a responsibility to be there for him because he's never gone through this before. So to tie back to today's episode, we are both going through a funk and we have been literal zombies for October, which is very fitting. Slay. It's very on brand and very on theme. And I think being a zombie or just being in a funk is very fitting when you are experiencing grief. Brennan's experiencing a different grief than I am. He's experienced the loss of a loved one. I'm experiencing the loss of a job. But we're both experiencing some form of grief. And I think it makes sense that we are kind of like just going through the motions, really feeling sluggish, not sticking to our typical routines. But it also makes it hard to pull yourself out of a funk. And I've been very cognizant of that for like last week. Kind of when we hit like 2 weeks of experiencing and processing this news, I was like, okay, we're definitely not our best selves right now, but how do we get ourselves out of this funk? And even though I was aware that we were processing grief and going through that, I still felt a lot of internal shame. I felt shameful for having literally, I shit you not, every piece of clothing that I own in the laundry bin because I hadn't done laundry. And I also felt shame that like for the first entire week, Brennan and I ate takeout or just did Uber Eats because we couldn't be bothered to make ourselves a proper meal. I also felt shame because I did not go and work out and go to a Pilates class, things that bring me joy. I just didn't even consider going to it. It feels good to be a slob kebab and just sit in bed, have a rot day, do whatever you need to do to process. But like I said, I started to realize or even be curious about getting back into a routine or setting up a new routine. And I think this aha moment or recognizing that you are ready to move past the rot stage or the zombie stage will be different for everyone. And I think it depends on like what you're going through, what your grieving circumstances, and don't really put a timeline on it because that's not going to be fair to you. It's not going to be fair to your grieving process or what you're going through, and you can't exactly rush it. For me, it was just me thinking about it neutrally, not shaming myself. Like, shaming sounds very different. It sounds like you're a piece of shit, like you're lazy, all those things. I won't actually list them all out, but it sounded like, oh, hey, I actually think I might want to go to a Pilates class. Or, oh, hey, I have some energy. I kind of want to put the dishes away. Stuff like that, where it's like you have this motivation or like a wanting to do it rather than, oh, I feel like I have to because I'm going to be gross if I don't. And this is something Brennan and I chatted a lot about when we were grieving and sitting in bed and just not really doing anything. It's weird because life still goes on and it's also really bittersweet. Even when you're having your worst days, when you're grieving, unfortunately, life goes on. Sometimes you have to keep pushing. For some people, they don't have the luxury or the privilege to take 2-3 weeks to just rot in bed and do nothing, to take a break, to stop and process what's going on around them. And for those people, my heart definitely goes out to them. I can't even imagine. Think back to my younger years when I felt like I had to do that a lot, when I felt like, oh, I don't have time to process this, I have to keep going. It wasn't the greatest, I'm going to tell you, because it all came out eventually. So if you are in a position where you don't have time to stop, I would say try to find some form of solace while you're continuing to move, for you to at least acknowledge your feelings, or at least to acknowledge yourself, or if there's a way you can do something kind for yourself. So that's what I want to chat about with y'all today, that when you're going through it, when you're grieving, when you're going through whatever you are going through and you're ready, or you have to, here are some things you can do to slowly but surely pull yourself out of a funk. The first one is tidy something. So this is not a deep clean or a full reset. I want to scream that from the rooftops. We are not washing the floors when I say tidy something. We are doing something so small that it almost doesn't feel like we're tidying something, but the action kind of tricks our brain, gives us that satisfaction of like, oh, okay, we're kind of feeling a little bit better about ourselves. We're feeling a little bit cleaner and feeling a bit more tidy, put together. Do something small. Like if your bedside table is out of whack, I have a specific layout for my bedside table and I like things in a certain spot. Bren is the complete opposite. Chaos. Like it's choose your adventure on his side of the bed. But For me, I like to have I sleep with earplugs. I have my earplugs, and then I might have a hair tie, and then I'll have my chargers, and then the hatch alarm on the one side, but they're all in a specific space. So if that's out of whack, put it back to how you like it. Bing, bang, boom, done. And then let's say you're feeling, okay, I have a little bit more energy. Maybe go do another small thing. If you have pillows on the couch or if you have a blanket on the couch, fold it and put the pillows where they're supposed to be. Again, bing, bang, boom, done. We don't want to exert a lot of energy, but a little bit of organizing will help you feel more together. And like I said, could inspire you to take further action. Again, it doesn't have to be tidying something, but it could be something else. Makes you feel good, motivates you, gets you moving. Second one is have a shower. And again, caveat, we are not doing an everything shower. We're not shaving our legs in here unless we want to. If you feel inclined to, go ahead, shave your legs. Think about it as maybe it's just a body shower. You don't even have to wash your hair. Just get your body in the shower and envision yourself rinsing away the negative energy. So I literally do this. I will take the soap and I'll take it down my arms and I'll fling off the water, and I envision that's the negative energy, and then I look at the drain and I envision it washing away down the drain. It sounds a little woo-woo, sounds a little funny, but it works, I swear to God. The third one is reach out. When you're grieving, you probably will have a lot of people be reaching out to you, or when you're going through something hard, people will be contacting you, and it might not be when you need it. So take the initiative to reach out. It doesn't have to be, again, you don't have to call all 10 of your friends or your family members. Maybe it's just one person, and maybe it's just a text. Maybe it's not on the phone. But reach out to a close friend, and consider even going for a walk, getting outside. Make sure that you're connecting with someone who's going to help you reduce your stress and who can support you. Someone that's not going to talk about themselves for the entire call or the entire time you're with them. Sometimes it's okay to distract yourself and have another person talk to you about themselves or what's going on in their lives. But if you're grieving or if you're going through something hard, it is good for you to talk about it or for you to process it out loud, and having a friend who's going to listen to you and just help you figure out ways to reduce your stress is going to be really helpful. And as I mentioned, even getting outside for a walk can help because it's going to boost your mood. But research also indicates that it can strengthen your immune system, which is another thing that is the first to go when you're grieving and stressed. And reaching out to people that you care about or who are going to support you is also beneficial for your heart as well. It makes you feel good. The next one is kind of a caveat of reaching out or spending time with others, but spend time with your pets. If you have pets, spend time with them. Cuddle them. Chances are your pet already knows you're going through it. Anytime I'm crying or I feel down or I don't feel my best, Larry is more of a Velcro dog than he already is. He's at my hip. He lies on me. He gives me kisses. He gets me to pet him. He's just always there checking in on me, and because he knows. I also sometimes talk to Larry, and this is another point of, let's say you can't really talk to a friend, loved one, or you don't feel comfortable to do that. Talk to your pets, because they can't say anything back and they're not going to tell anyone, right? It's good to just get the words out, get it out of your head, get it out of you. This is another form of the washing away the negative energy. Get the words out of your head so that they're not ruminating up in there. This is scientifically backed. It's similar to spending time with loved ones. Being with your pet, it can just improve your mood. Your body releases a hormone which is called oxytocin, and it enhances your mood and strengthens your connection to other living beings. And I think it'll be a double whammy if you can spend time with your pets or your friends or loved ones outside on a walk, because those are two things that are going to be really good to boost your mood, help you get out of the funk. Let's say you're still at work or you are at home, wherever that you're spending a lot of time, put a plant on your desk, or even a picture. If you can't have plants at your work or wherever you are, put a picture of nature, because just looking at that will make you less irritable and help your mood as well. Something else that can help pull you out of a funk is playing music or watching a comfort TV show or a movie. Think about how you feel when you listen to your favorite song or your favorite artist. You literally can't sit still. I think about Lady Gaga. 10 of her songs pop into my head and I just want to like groove out to them. Or even like when I play them, I cannot help but sing along, bop a little bit, get my groove on. When you sing along, regardless of your skill level, your brain produces natural painkillers that can help enhance your mood. And I think a comfort show or a comfort movie can do the same thing. For me, it's Friends, because I know that I will laugh at least a few times any episode I watch. I also love Friends because I have almost every, if not every, episode memorized. So I know how it's going to end. I can predict how it's going to end. So that's not going to influence my mood. If anything, it's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me feel safe, more comforted. Hence, it's called a comfort show. Because I'm not on the edge of my seat being like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I would definitely classify Friends as a mood stabilizer for me. And I also recommend that if you're going to watch a comfort TV show or movie, that it is somewhat funny, because laughing can relieve muscle tension and quick breaths can also give your heart and lungs a boost. Additionally, laughing triggers your brain to release chemicals that can help combat pain and infection. So just go ahead and pick a funny TV show or movie. I think that will help you a lot, as well as be beneficial for your health. Another thing that can help pull you out of a funk is paying it forward. The act of doing something for someone else is, in a way, selfish, but it's selfish because it makes you feel so good. When you perform a kind act for someone, your body also produces endorphins. These natural painkillers are associated with trust, pleasure, and furthermore social connection, so tying back into when you spend time with others. Additionally, helping others has been shown to boost your self-esteem. So if you're feeling, again, like a slob kebab and you're not feeling great, like, why don't you try to do something nice for someone else, or just paying it forward? And again, this doesn't have to be some grandiose gesture. Some ideas that I brainstormed was, let's say you do need to get outside. Why not raking your leaves for your neighbor? How about paying for a stranger's coffee if you're taking yourself out to treat yourself? Why don't you offer to pay for someone else? Or if you're just driving around, why don't you let someone else in when you're in traffic? The 7th thing you can do to get out of a funk is nourishing your body. And I feel like this one is the hardest. Drinking water, exercising, basic hygiene, eating properly. I feel like those are all the first things to go when we are going through it, but those are really crucial in order to keep up our immune system so that we don't get sick, as well as make us feel good. Specifically with drinking water, when your body is dehydrated, you are going to feel tired, irritable, or just a bit off. It can also impact your mental clarity. If you're not in the mood for a glass of water, you can also hydrate with food, so try fruits and vegetables. I love cucumber or like watermelon. I mean, watermelon's more summery, but cucumber is like all year round. I just love eating cucumbers. And cucumbers are they were all the rage like a month ago. If you look at Logan on TikTok, he has so many cucumber recipes. You could at least try that. Talking about exercise, again, don't push yourself to go to the gym. I didn't, and I think I enjoyed when I went back because of my own decision. I wasn't like forcing myself to go. Tying back to getting outdoors, even if you just move your body for 5 minutes on a walk outside. Take your dog with you. Take your cat, but maybe you can't take your cat, but just go alone. Getting outside for at least 5 minutes, that will make you feel 10 times better than had you not gone just for those 5 minutes. Or let's say you don't even want to go for a walk outside. Why don't you just sit outside? And also, if you're not consuming enough food to energize your day, you might feel tired or even hangry. Again, if all you can do is order Uber Eats or have someone bring you food, that is great. That's good. At least you are eating. If for however many days you've done that and you might be open to the idea of having a more nourishing meal, try to focus on whole grains, again, vegetables and fruits, even lean meats, because those are going to be super nutrient dense and give you more energy. And the reason being is these foods digest more slowly, so they're going to give you sustained energy throughout the day rather than a quick spike that you would receive from like junk food or fast food. And then finally, the last one, which is also so critical and so important, is rest and just feeling your feels. Sometimes you just need a good old-fashioned raw day in bed, like I mentioned, and to just feel your feels and process things. And you might think that resting and feeling your feels is not something that's going to help get you out of a funk. It totally is. It is on this list for a reason. It's an action that you need to take to get through this process. And you'd be surprised by what a good night's rest and just a good cry can do for you and how you'll feel afterwards. The only way that you're going to get over these feelings is by going through them and feeling them fully, not suppressing them. Even if you can't take a full day, even if you're still busy, maybe it's 5 minutes where you lock yourself in a room and you cry. That is progress, and that is you allowing yourself to feel those feelings. And if you continue to allow yourself to do that, find 5 minutes a day, you will get through it. Sleep can also help reduce anxiety and improve your mood and focus. Also, it can really help your skin. One of the things that I've been trying to do when I'm experiencing this breakout is sleep. I had I think a 10-hour sleep last night because I had not been sleeping for the previous days. I had been sleeping for 5 hours, and I feel like my skin is even better today. And I think that is a large part because I got such a good sleep last night. The baseline for getting a good sleep is around 7 to 9 hours each night. And if you struggle with falling asleep, keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet, and avoid watching TV or using the computer right before bed. You can also, on your iPhone, I'm sure you can do this on any other devices, but change your screen so that it's not using the blue light to more of a yellow toned color. It's in your settings, but I always do this and turn it on from 8 o'clock at night all the way into 8 o'clock the next day, so that if I'm on my phone after 8, I'm not getting those harsh blue lights, will prevent me from going to sleep. And then this is obviously a little bit harder to achieve, especially if you're busy, if you're going through it, if your routine has already been screwed up. But trying to have a consistent sleep schedule and going to bed and waking up at the same time will also help get you into a good sleeping pattern and make you feel really great. But it's much easier said than done. I have a terrible sleep schedule. I think typically I go to bed at 11 midnight each night and then wake up around 8ish, 9ish. Ideally, I would love to go to bed earlier, but I find it hard just to fall asleep. So that's something I'm trying to work on. Do what you can. If anything, if you can't get into a typical sleep schedule, try to just get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. How do we feel about these actionables? I don't expect you to do them all. I certainly haven't been able to do them all, but I hope that maybe one of these can at least resonate with you, which will contribute to you getting out of a funk. For me, I love doing a quick tidy, then having a shower, and then followed by washing my emotional support water bottle and filling it up with really fresh water. Those 3 things combined really help me get into the groove of keeping myself going and starting my daily routine. I would love to know if any of these work for you, and or if you have any other ideas that I didn't mention that help get you out of a funk. Lastly, I want to stress that it is totally normal to be in a funk. This is all a very common occurrence and everyone goes through this. We're human and it is going to happen to you. These are merely tools to use when you are ready to get things moving again. And if you've enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you shared it with a loved one or even a friend. Send it to someone who is also figuring life out or who is potentially in a funk right now and needs help getting out of it. Make sure you're following on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify, and let's connect on socials at Nobody Knows Podcast on Instagram or at Nobody Knows Podcast followed by an _ on TikTok. Until next time, friends, bye!